Well, I started writing when I was 15 years old. I was in 10th grade.
What year was it?
It was January 1961. We used to have to write a book report for English class. And so, our big trip in Connecticut, where we lived in East Hampton, Connecticut, was to go to the city, Hartford, which had at the time its major department store was called G. Fox. And it's something that, it was a really nice store, something that those of us who grew up in that central Connecticut area, remember. I mean, it's been taken over by Macy's, by Filene's, but it was always better with G. Fox. It had 11 floors and all kinds of toys and a bookstore on the mezzanine. And whenever my mother shopped, I'd always go to the mezzanine and look at the books. So I was looking for something for book report, and I stumbled across this book by Jack Kerouac, The Dharma Bums. And I'd always been sort of making jokes about beatniks with the guy I knew in school. And I read a satire on the Beats in Mad Magazine, where I first heard the name Kerouac in a satire on the Beats. So I bought the book, and I'll say, wow, here's a whole other life. I don't have to be, the outcast of the jocks and the hoods and the goody two-shoes. I can be something entirely different, except that it doesn't exist where I am. And so I became very interested in this alternative lifestyle of the Beats. And I became very interested in writing. There was something about the simple image of Jack Kerouac on the back cover in a flannel shirt, with a 5 o'clock shadow. See, when I was a kid, I used to watch these shows like Omnibus or Masterpiece Theater, and somebody like Somerset Maugham would introduce a play. And so I would see all these eminent, distinguished-looking people, all white-haired and speak with British accents. And, up until I saw this picture of Kerouac, I had sort of pictured, all writers must be born at age 60 with their collected works in tow. And then all of a sudden I saw Jack Kerouac, and he looked like the guy who would stop in a Saturday afternoon, my grandfather's fishing shack, and talk about baseball or sex or drinking or whatever. Just a regular blue-collar guy. And all of a sudden, being a writer became within the realm of possibility. And again, I had this stutter, which turned out not to be a stutter at all, but a very complex Tourette syndrome vocal tic that would take about 45 minutes to explain how I actually acquired it, because that's, you have to get that deep into Tourette to explain it. And no speech therapist could ever figure it out when I explained it to them. But because I couldn't talk, and nobody would listen to me, and teachers turned their backs on me when I was asking questions in classes, and I couldn't get a word out, I said, I'm going to be a writer, and I'm going to make people listen to me. And so, like, all in this one period in January 1961, I made a major life decision. I just stayed with it. Like 48 years later. Hasn't made me rich or anything, but I stayed with it.